Jiang Bai, known as the #1 detective in the Dragon Kingdom, traveled to a parallel world and found himself participating in a variety show. In this show, Jiang Bai, who played the role of an expert, needs to find ways to lay out himself. The production team originally wanted the audience to know what kind of dire situation a person would face. Unexpectedly, Jiang Bai completed numerous comebacks against the wind, shocking the entire audience. Program expert. This is the most intelligent athlete I have ever seen. I am not as good as 1 in 10,000 as him. Psychologist. This man is too terrifying. I just glanced at him and was hypnotized in reverse. Fighting expert. Who would have thought that Jiang Bai was chasing us 10 people alone, and who caught who on earth? Keywords of the novel. City. The game I set, no one can break it. No pop-ups, city. The game I set, no one can break it. Download the complete TXT collection, city. The game I set, no one can break it. Latest chapter reading. Chapter 1. Escape Program MIA Wanted Criminal. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The source has no content or has errors. Chapter 2. Innocent vs. Top Criminal Investigation Team, isn't this a death sentence? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 2. Innocent vs. Top Criminal Investigation Team, isn't this a death sentence? Surprisingly, the premiere program, Crime Master, that the entire network is looking forward to will invite a layman. Is it surprising that such an ordinary person, who is not a highly educated PhD or someone skilled in a professional field, has been invited to this highly anticipated program? It's simply unacceptable. Is it difficult to let this amateur act as the actor? Isn't this a damn public execution? I'm really speechless. I've been looking forward to it for so long, but in the end, this black ink. I've taken it, but suddenly I don't have the thought to see it anymore. Why don't I just stop looking? I had already anticipated how this ordinary person would make a fool of himself. All the voices on the internet are not optimistic about Jiang Bai, and even think that Jiang Bai's appearance will only lower the level of the program. Jiang Bai turned a blind eye to rumors and gossip on the internet. He sat on the sofa, watching the information and process about the program sent by the production team earlier, and gained a brief understanding. Crime Master is a brand new program that has attracted widespread attention. The main content is the guests who need to be invited, and there will be actors. The production team will give the actors a script, allowing them to directly experience the environment of the script and complete the crime. In addition to being a playwright, there is also an important role as a case solver. The investigator is responsible for finding clues and solving the case within a month based on everything that happens in the scene, otherwise it will be declared a failure. Jiang Bai is very interested. The script played in the first episode this time is one of the police and bandit films he watched in his previous life. This case may not be very complex, but it is definitely not simple either. However, the exposure of the action is quite obvious. So far, it has not been successfully escaped. The investigators have never failed. In other words, the actor has never won. There is a bold red font on the invitation letter. The winner can receive a prize of 50 million yuan. Special note. Solver successful, actor eliminated. On the contrary, the actor enters the next round. With complete preparation and absorption of all the content from the script, a perfect criminal technique instantly appeared in Jiang Bai's mind. The next morning, Jiang Bai was transported by the program team's car to a remote mountainous area. The weather is gloomy, with dense dark clouds, making it difficult for people to breathe. The strong wind was howling, with the appearance of pouring rain. The staff of the production team had already prepared and set up all the lights. Director Lin saw Jiang Bai wave his hand and was taken aback. He asked, "How old are you this year?" Jiang Bai smiled and said, 22 years old. Lin Dao suddenly choked and couldn't conceal his shock. Only 20.2. Which prestigious university did you graduate from? Or did you study criminal techniques in psychology? Jiang Bai said truthfully, ordinary second book. Do you have any special experiences? Lin Dao hesitated and continued, do you have any special experiences? Jiang Bai pondered for a moment and said, is killing Gao in the script a good idea? A suffocating sensation hit his face, and Lin, who was choking, couldn't say a word. The assistant director on the side walked over and explained in a low voice, Director Lin, I made a mistake about this. I sent the wrong invitation letter at the time, but later I was too busy and forgot about it. I even sent out the notice, and now it's too late to change people. Lin's gaze was wandering, as if he was thinking of a solution. After a while, he felt a bit overwhelmed and said, I thought it was a deliberate gimmick, but I didn't expect to be a mediocre person who doesn't know anything. Jiang Bai remained calm and didn't defend himself, only saying, I will do my best. With more than 10 minutes left before the official opening, Director Lin had no other choice but to quickly explain, you have seen all of this case and you know the background, but I have to remind you again. Your family has a total of 4 members, your wife, eldest daughter, and youngest daughter. After saying these words, Director Lin suddenly froze as he looked at Jiang Bai's handsome face, which was 20.2 years old. He didn't think it was a sign of having a 16 or 17-year-old daughter. But what is written in the script cannot be changed. So, the director didn't care much anymore and spoke at a fast pace. Next, be careful not to watch the live broadcast in any way. Secondly, there should be no false answers during the filming process of the program. Thirdly, it is not allowed to intentionally engage in behavior opposite to the script. Fourth. After saying several precautions in a row, Director Lin handed a document to Jiang Bai and said, the script I gave you before was just for testing, and this is the role you need to play this time. Jiang Bai was taken aback and opened the document, only to find a single line of text on it. Writing a family introduction. You were born in a small town with an average family level. You have a wife, a 15-year-old eldest daughter, and a 10-year-old youngest daughter. Apart from these, there is nothing else. Jiang Bai didn't expect that this program really didn't have any script process, it was all based on personal performance. Just as he was about to ask something, the assistant director shouted, there are still 3 minutes left until the broadcast starts. Jiang Bai was pushed into a room by Lin Dao, and the door slammed shut. The room was slightly dark and indistinct, making it difficult to see what it looked like for a moment. The immersive feeling immediately put Jiang Bai into a state of mind. My gaze turned to the entrance of the inner room, and my brain quickly analyzed. According to the script, in the inner room sat his eldest and youngest daughters, as well as his wife. The scene was clearly lively, but with such a dim and oppressive environment, Jiang Bai realized that the case had quietly occurred since he first entered the door. And now, the nationally acclaimed Master of Crime finally aired on time at 8 p.m. A new and popular variety show has once again dominated the headlines, sparking a wave of enthusiasm online. The trailer has been carefully designed to give the audience a brand new feeling and make them look forward to The Master of Crime even more. At 7:59 a.m., everyone was waiting in front of the computer, phone, and TV. It's starting to air. Misty Grass. I've been waiting for a long time, and finally it's broadcasting. Looking forward to it. I feel like after watching the trailer this time, without any surprises, the investigators are winning again. Nonsense. If the person who comes this time is a psychology PhD or someone from a professional field, then the actor may still win, but this time there is a mediocre person who is nothing. It's strange to win. Stop making noise. Hurry up and watch. The atmosphere is coming. In the picture, there is a room that cannot be seen very clearly. The camera froze on Jiang Bai's back, appearing particularly deep in the dark and shining doorway. A sense of atmosphere arises naturally, and a sense of oppression hits one's face. The audience watching the live broadcast couldn't help but be immersed in it and swallowed their saliva. As the camera gradually advances, the incident has quietly occurred and the plot has officially begun. End of this chapter. Chapter 3 begins to turn the tables. Only Jiang Bai knows the plot. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3 begins to turn the tables. Only Jiang Bai knows the plot. Amidst the widespread attention, Jiang Bai moved. He crossed the kitchen and strode to the entrance of the inner room, where he saw 3 people sitting on chairs at a glance. Jiang Bai suddenly realized that this was probably the so-called wife and daughter in the script. He doesn't know the person who plays his wife, he just knows that she is also a famous celebrity. Faced with several beautiful women, Jiang Bai remained calm, but the barrage exploded. Wu Cao. Jiang Bai, you are so convinced. There are still 2 beautiful women and a little one to accompany you, it's so happy. The production team is so amazing. Even Miss Liu can be invited. It is said that Miss Liu and Miss Liu Tang are the top white beauties in Beijing. And there's more. Isn't this Jiang Yun, the school flower of Yantai University? Is this okay too? Even the little beauty is a young child star who debuted, Moo Moo. Well, just looking for someone from the production team, I'm saying that no matter how bad Jiang Bai's performance is, I will continue to watch it. I'm so jealous. Mad, I'm so happy. If it were me, I could do it too. Jiang Bai couldn't see the comments from the barrage. He is not very familiar with these people either. When he entered the room, Jiang Bai quickly entered a state of mind. He lowered his eyes and looked at the faces of Liu Tang and Jiang Yun. After a moment of silence, he asked, "What's going on?" When asked, the 2 were clearly stunned. His face immediately became serious, with a worried expression. Jiang Bai sat on the chair and asked again, "What's wrong?" Liu Tang has a beautiful appearance and excellent acting skills, portraying the anxiety and fear in her heart to the fullest. In front of her youngest daughter, she dared not confess and could only turn her head and say, "Yuner, take your sister to eat something first. Mom has something to say to Dad." Jiang Yun's face turned pale, he grabbed his sister's hand and nodded to follow suit. Seeing the sisters go out, Liu Tang finally took off all his precautions. His eyes turned red and he suddenly grasped Jiang Bai's hand. His voice trembled. "My husband, Yuner, she last night, accidentally killed someone." Jiang Bai was stunned, obviously not expecting the plot to progress so quickly. It was hard to conceal his astonishment and shock. "Did you kill someone?" He felt a chill in his heart and suddenly understood that this case was different from the previous one. In the past, it was the actor who committed the crime, but this time it is the actor's daughter. The barrage was also startled. Ouch. It's interesting. I didn't expect this plot. But this young man named Jiang Bai acted quite realistically and looked like that. Take a good look, little brother. Is this beauty really a layman? Are you crazy? Who came to this program and still watches looks? I really thought everyone would buy it. What I want to watch is his mother's battle of wits and bravery. Isn't looks good? The light in the room seemed to darken a bit when Liu Tang finished speaking. Liu Tang lowered her head and recounted with a heavy heart what had happened last night. When Yuner returned, he was followed by a car. The man had ulterior motives and wanted to insult Yuner in front of me, but Yuner refused to compromise and picked up a stick to hit her. Liu Tang trembled in her voice and closed her eyes in pain, saying, "He's dead. I'm afraid someone will find him." The body was wrapped in a burlap bag and hidden in the yard by Yuner and me. After finishing what happened last night, Liu Tang suddenly opened his eyes and said, "Husband, what should we do? Killing someone can lead to imprisonment." After listening to these words, Jiang Bai was stunned. It is not because of the homicide case, but the case is the same as the film he saw in his previous life, even carved out of the same mold. And as a detective novel enthusiast in his past life, he has watched this movie over and over again, even making many hypothetical deductions. More importantly, what he is going to do now coincides with what the movie protagonist is going to do. The only difference is that the movie protagonist ultimately saved his daughter. And he will receive a prize of 50 million. A series of techniques for concealing crimes rapidly formed in his brain, and he closed his eyes in contemplation without giving a response. Bullet screen laughter. Ha ha ha, isn't he scared? This is too cowardly. You know, he wouldn't just send his daughter to the police station to surrender, would he? It's really uncertain. I'm curious about what he would do. I don't believe this ordinary person has a brain that can beat a case solver. He's an expert in this area. I'm probably going to see the simplest case solved in history. Hey, if it weren't for watching my goddess, I would have closed the live broadcast long ago. Husband. Husband. What should we do? Lu Tang grabbed Jiang Bai's arm and called out. Jiang Bai regained his senses, his eyes flickering with an imperceptible sense of confidence. Don't worry, I won't let Yuner have any trouble. The two of them looked at each other, and the atmosphere became somewhat strange. Although she knew it was acting, Lu Tang really saw a feeling of trust in Jiang Bai's eyes. Even though she knew that Jiang Bai could not succeed, at this moment, Lu Tang felt that he could be trusted. A sound came from the stairs, attracting the attention of the two. Jiang Yun descended step by step, with heavy footsteps. She stood in front of Jiang Bai, swallowed her saliva, and her voice trembled as she said, "Dad, me. Fear, unease, fear. I don't want to go to jail." Jiang Bai raised his hand and rubbed her head twice. "Don't worry, with me around, you won't go to jail." Jiang Yun looked up in shock, shook his hands, and couldn't make a sound. "But I killed someone." Jiang Bai asked in confusion, "When did you kill someone? How come I don't know?" Jiang Yun and Lu Tang paused at the same time, looking at Jiang Bai in surprise. "Me," Jiang Yun choked up, tears streaming down her face. Jiang Bai chuckled low, making the atmosphere less solemn. "Believe me, I will never let you go to jail." Jiang Yun couldn't control his emotions and nodded heavily. The barrage exploded. What? Even if this person is killed, can they still get away with it? Just kidding, it's impossible, right? Is it a bit outrageous? Okay. This time it's even more difficult than before, and I don't believe it can still clear the charge. My daughter's murder must be full of loopholes. Just a little inquiry makes me suspect it's here. This is just a must-lose game. Hush, to be honest, this kid has a way of boasting and bluffing. If it weren't for never being able to escape, I would almost believe him. In the oppressive and silent room, a family of 3 stood together. Time was tight, and Jiang Bai dared not delay. He calmly asked, "Who is he? Did he take out his wallet and phone before throwing the body?" Jiang Yun wiped his tears and said, He is my senior, his name is Lu Zhen, and he is a local." Jiang Bai responded and said, "Where's the phone?" Lu Tang felt for a black wallet and phone on the table and said, "I took them all yesterday. I was afraid someone might call me, so I turned them off." Jiang Bai took out his phone card and pressed the power button, saying, "Go help me get a pair of gloves." Lu Tang flipped out a new pair of gloves from the drawer and handed them to Jiang Bai, trembling as she asked, "What do you plan to do?" Jiang Bai pondered for a moment without giving an answer. When the phone turned on, several missed calls were displayed on the screen. After flipping through the album, I realized that this person's life was promiscuous and they often lived outside. Jiang Bai quickly came to a conclusion. Lu Jinping didn't go home and didn't keep in touch with his parents. Even if he disappeared for a whole night, it wouldn't arouse suspicion, let alone call the police. The period before Lu Zhen's parents realized it was the time when he destroyed all the evidence. Success or failure lies in this one move. The sky outside was dimly lit, and looking out from the window, the mist had not yet dissipated. Jiang Bai looked at the thick mist and suddenly laughed. End of this chapter. Chapter 4. The Great Curtain Rises. Unknown layout. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 4. The Great Curtain Rises. Unknown layout. Misty grass, I'm a bit scared with this smile. What's going on? Can't you think of a solution? Absolutely impossible. I guess I think it's because I don't think the killer is him, so I'm just having fun there, right? Who believes those unwavering words? I want to see how he can hide this crime. Pushing open the window, Jiang Bai let in the outside air. Are you going out? Lu Tang asked anxiously. Jiang Bai turned around and warned, don't talk to anyone about this matter. Act as usual and don't be noticed by anyone, you know. Lu Tang and Jiang Yun exchanged a glance, then looked at Jiang Bai in unison and nodded in agreement. They didn't know what Jiang Bai wanted to do, but for some reason, when they saw him, they believed in him from the bottom of their hearts. Jiang Bai picked up the car key from the table and put his phone in his pocket, saying, wait for me to come back. In the morning, there was a lot of fog. It was just dawn, and there were not many people on the road. Jiang Bai put on a duckbill cap and looked around at the environment. This is very remote and a mountain village. If all traces are wiped out, even if a detective comes, it will be of no use. Jiang Bai looked up at the scattered cameras hanging on the roadside. With these cameras, this car will eventually be discovered, it's just a matter of time. At this point, Jiang Bai's mind came up with a perfect plan. He opened the car door, sat in the driver's seat, inserted the key, and turned on the fire. Stepping on the gas pedal, the car roared and sped out. No one knows what kind of storm Jiang Bai's plan will set off in the next few days. The barrage went crazy because of Jiang Bai's actions. Isn't that common sense? I actually went to handle the car myself. How could I possibly get rid of it? When the roadside cameras are all just decorations. He's really brainless. When facing those criminal investigation experts later, he will definitely struggle to fly. How boring. I waited for so long just to see him perform how I got caught. Looking at people in their 20s is really not good. How can they compare to those experienced experts? Ask for trouble. This car has been parked here for more than 10 hours, and anyone with some common sense knows that no matter how you handle it, there is no way to cover up the traces of the car staying here. The bullet scream makes a lot of sense. Unfortunately, these words were somewhat insignificant in Jiang Bai's eyes. If the car is not destroyed, people will come to their door and inquire a little, and the target will be immediately locked onto Jiang Yun. By then, it would be too late to do anything. At this moment, Beiping Municipal Bureau. Several investigators who participated in the program gathered here. The head of the Criminal Investigation Brigade of the State Administration, Guan Hongshan, the country's top forensic Dr. Qin Ming, the most outstanding police officer Wu Xian, and the top detective in Chinatown, Qin Hao, sat in the conference room with a calm expression. There was not even a hint of nervousness on their faces. With professional competence, they will take every case seriously. Even for them, it only takes a few days to solve the case. There was no case, and Qin Ming was not in a hurry. He calmly stood up and said, I'll go back first. When I find the body, give me a call. Forensic doctors are naturally not very good at screening cases. A few people worked together for a long time and were familiar with Qin Ming's personality. They were used to his ease of coming and going, but there was no response. Seeing him leave, the team leader Guan Hongshan sighed. A few people took out the remaining case files and spread them out on the table. In front of the mountains of files, Guan Hongshan sighed. When can the program group list the suspect and then let them solve the case? This kind of screening is also a waste of time. There's nothing we can do, we have to be a bit eye-catching, right? Qin Hao also took a case file and asked, what kind of case will this be? When it comes to this topic, Wu Xian also became interested. Who knows, but I hope this guy won't be so complicated. It's not complicated. How could it be? Qin Hao sneered and reminded, it took 6 months. With the skills of the program team, we couldn't search for talented people and scholars from all over the world. I see this time, it's hanging. Wu Xin said, but I'm quite curious. If it weren't for someone watching, I would have to take a look at the live broadcast and see what kind of person this time is. By contrast, Guan Hongshan was relatively calm. Alright, hurry up and find the case file. No matter what situation you encounter, you have to deal with it. A few people silently looked at the case file, their expressions serious, completely immersed in it, and their calm and confident demeanor was appreciated by the barrage. What a delightful sight. With these few people coming together, even a massive case can be solved. The investigator is so dedicated here, and looking at the actors, the most basic mistakes will be made. It's just a matter of putting it on the show. I feel like this program will eventually be ruined by Jiang Bai. The production team will regret it. On the other side, Jiang Bai drove along a remote path, and in front of him was a long river with deep water. It's easy to flood this car. However, the distance here is too easy to detect, and it is not even an excellent hiding place. In the eyes of these audiences, there are simply countless loopholes. Is that it? I've been thinking about it for a while, but any method is 100 times better than this one, okay? This is a bit outrageous. I feel like the investigator doesn't need to use their brains to catch the killer in minutes. This is too boring. It's better to see the beautiful woman come and enjoy herself. Indeed. After being spoiled by the program, the audience's demands for guests can be said to be getting higher and higher. They have been looking forward to high education, high intelligence, and proficient professionals for half a year, but unexpectedly transformed into an unknown and nothing new college graduate. At such a young age, what kind of city can there be, and how can one escape from the eyes of highly professional police officers, forensic doctors, psychologists, and other high-end individuals? If the actor really wins, then he must be dreaming. The barrage accurately landed in the eyes of the backstage director. Director Lin is also a bit helpless. Even if the camera was aimed at Jiang Bai, no matter how much, he did not do anything attractive. Moreover, not only did the barrage feel that Jiang Bai's abandonment of the car was too foolish, but he also felt the same way. Change the camera, add a bit of eerie atmosphere, be more serious, and also show everyone the environment here, immerse yourself in emotions. But before the screen could move away from Jiang Bai, his figure disappeared from the screen. The first perspective instantly turned into an empty driver's seat. In the next moment, the water surface is getting closer and closer to the camera. The water surface, permeated with an oppressive atmosphere, instantly engulfed an entire sedan. And Jiang Bai completely disappeared in front of everyone. End of this chapter. Chapter 5. The Deceived People. Trapped in the Net. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5. The Deceived People. Trapped in the Net. Damn it. Send drones to lock in Jiang Bai's position. First, transfer the screen to your home. Getting the actor out of the control of the camera is simply a major mistake. The screen switches, but the barrage boils. Two beautiful women sat on the sofa, looking uneasy and uneasy. The fear and terror after killing and hiding bodies were evident on their faces. Watching beautiful women is truly pleasing to the eye. Unfortunately, it will have to end up in prison. Nonsense, killing someone doesn't mean going to jail. Although that man is indeed worthy of death, he still killed someone. Even if he accidentally killed someone, it would still be a life. I usually remember playing from the actor's perspective. Why just switch perspectives? Although I quite like this perspective, hahaha. Isn't that easy? Jiang Bai has already arrived at the riverbank. What can you do with this car? You can tell what he wants with his nose. This is probably the first time in so long that all the movements of the actors have been guessed thoroughly by the barrage. I don't know how long it has been. When Jiang Bai appeared in the picture again, it was already around midnight. The two children have already gone to bed, and there is only one person flowing in the living room. She hugged her legs and curled up on the sofa, like a helpless cat, causing heartache. Upon hearing the sound of the door, Lu Tang lifted her eyes and looked over. Seeing Jiang Bai's white shirt with dirty cuffs when she went out, she couldn't help but ask, "Where did you go when you came back so late?" Jiang Bai's throat was very dry. He coughed twice, quickly walked to the table, picked up water, and took 2 sips. "Don't worry, it's okay, I've done everything." Lu Tang swallowed his words and remained silent for a while before compromising. "How about I go take the blame for Yuna? She's only in her teens, a great life can't just end like this." Jiang Bai sat on the sofa and comforted, "Don't worry, go and call Yuna over. I have something to explain. I'll take a break, it's too tiring." Lu Tang was stunned, but still had high trust in Jiang Bai. "Okay." The bullet screen instantly died of laughter. "Ha ha ha, did you really walk back so far? You're really amazing, your stamina is so good. I really admire it. Ha ha ha, I have to admire it." At this moment, in the broadcasting room, Director Lin originally thought that there would be no further escalation of emotions, but unexpectedly, Jiang Bai took the initiative to push the process forward. "Is there something to explain?" "Great. The theme is here, hurry up and move on to the music. If it's a bit scary, make sure to highlight the environment." With the gloomy and oppressive music playing, the visuals in the live broadcast room also changed. Jiang Yun's face was pale, his whole body tense, and he slowly followed Lu Tang down. "Dad," Jiang Yun remained silent for a moment, unable to suppress his inner panic, and spoke out in fear, "Have you handled Lu Zhen's matter well?" Jiang Bai took a leisurely sip of water and asked in confusion, "Who is Lu Zhen?" "Just finished speaking." Lu Tang and Jiang Yun suddenly looked up and looked at Jiang Bai. "Who is Lu Zhen?" He actually asked who Lu Zhen was. Jiang Bai remained calm and composed, completely unable to see what he had done on that day, as if it were an ordinary midnight. "We don't even know Lu Zhen, he has no intersection with us." "Who is he?" Jiang Yun was dumbfounded, his lips wriggling, but he couldn't speak. Jiang Bai put down his teacup, his voice chilling to the bottom of the valley. Every word struck into the hearts of the mother and daughter. "Remember, as a family of 4, we never knew anyone named Lu Zhen. No matter who asked, they would always say that. Completely eliminate him from your memory." The atmosphere suddenly became heavy and oppressive. And the background music also reached its most exciting part, with powerful piano sounds and heavy keystrokes, stretching out a gloomy and terrifying music mixed with horror, accompanied by faint moonlight. Jiang Bai, sitting on the sofa with light on his back, couldn't see his expression clearly. Jiang Yun remained silent for a moment, clenched her hands into fists and placed them on her knees, her lips turning white as she bit them. After enduring it for a while, she finally couldn't help but look up suddenly, her voice filled with a hoarse roar and disbelief. How could it be assumed that nothing had happened? The background music has come to an abrupt end at this moment. The room suddenly became quiet, silent, yet oppressed to the extreme. There was a complete silence of 5 minutes. These 5 minutes have been hanging everyone's hearts, their hearts hanging in their throats, unable to move up or down, making people feel suffocated. A suffocating feeling rushed towards me. Everyone's gaze fell on Jiang Bai, as if wanting to see what shocking words he could say. But the party involved, Jiang Bai, appeared more calm than anyone else. He pondered for a moment, as if nothing had happened before. He turned his face and asked with a sparse smile, "It's been a long time since we went out. Why don't we go out and play tomorrow as a family of 4? Everyone was instantly shocked and choked by Jiang Bai's words, unable to say anything. After 2 minutes, the barrage suddenly exploded. Did I hear the damn thing wrong? Going out to play. Did I make a mistake? Wanted criminals can still go out and play for granted. Shouldn't it be a self-dumping internet game? Misty grass. This is a bit thrilling. Is it possible that Jiang Bai is planning to do the final relaxation? Hiss, I can't understand. I didn't even run for my life, but I went out to play openly. Are you crazy? It's not just bullet comments that I can't understand. Even Lu Tang and Jiang Yun sitting on the sofa were stunned. Lu Tang even lost her voice. After a while, she came over and asked in a hoarse voice, "The body is still outside. We're going out to play. If the police come tomorrow, we'll." Jiang Bai propped up his chin and became very engrossed, saying, "What body? How come I don't know?" Lu Tang pursed her lips and felt a little flustered in her heart. "When I went out today, I heard that the White Horse Temple was quite interesting. Why don't I just go there tomorrow morning? How about a family of 4? Jiang Yun and Lu Tang exchanged a glance and remained silent one after another. The exciting and thrilling program, stirred up by Jiang Bai, immediately turned into a joyful variety show. Is self-deception really useful? At such a critical moment, going out to play is like giving up everything and waiting for the police to come and arrest people. Jiang Yun was very disappointed. She originally participated in this program to increase her popularity. Unexpectedly, the performer of this program, Jiang Bai, is like a hammer. It's useless. It's better to send her directly to the police station and surrender herself instead of letting her fall into the trap. Jiang Yun suppressed his dissatisfaction and asked again, "Are we really going?" At this critical moment, Jiang Bai looked puzzled and smiled, "Of course we have to go. What's the critical moment? Our family of 4 is happy, isn't that the most important thing?" End of this chapter. Chapter 6. Layout that no one can guess. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6. Layout that no one can guess. Are you going out to play? Are you crazy? Is it because he's crazy, or is it because I'm crazy? This is outrageous. It's really a pity. I thought we invited Lu Tang and Jiang Yun, and the plot should be very good. I didn't expect that the protagonist was such a useless person. Nothing. Sleeping, what's there to see here? It's so boring. Not only did the audience feel speechless, but they even waited for a long time, thinking that Jiang Bai could say something shocking to heaven and earth, but they didn't expect it. They gave a close dot up, creating such a grand atmosphere. But I got it, how many words did I play outside? Lin suddenly choked and pointed to the screen, but he didn't say anything for a long time. As a popular variety show, Master of Crime naturally attracts the attention of high-end people. Moreover, personnel related to the Master of Crime, including Lu Yang, a processing engineer at the National Crime Data Center, and Yi Liang, the casting coordinator, looked at the program with an indescribable gaze. Yi Liang took out a cigarette, took a deep breath, and exhaled a hazy mist with complex eyes. Shouldn't I agree to let him participate in this program? It was you who said the script was simple that made my decision based on the director's instructions. If I had known it was like this, it would have been better not to let him participate. Isn't this ruining the entire program? Lu Yang said helplessly, "This script is indeed the simplest in history." Before reporting the case, he has too much time to deal with the aftermath. And there are no cameras at the crime scene, whether it's a fake accident or anything else. Before he could finish speaking, Yi Liang extinguished his cigarette, rubbed his brows, and said to himself, "Can we let the investigators discover earlier? This episode is really hard to watch, let's end it soon." The official Lu Yang shook his head and said, "Of course not. The script has already been arranged, and if it suddenly changes, it will be very troublesome. Moreover, Lu Yang smiled, the character was chosen by you. Yi Liang's face suddenly darkened. The program team of Crime Master has always fought against each other with high intelligence. But the script cases that appear in each episode are brain-burning and logically rigorous, with countless details. Even if you keep staring, there are still some parts that you can't understand at all. Therefore, the production team decided to use a regular script to make it easier and more down-to-earth for the actors to win. But now it seems this casting was simply a major mistake. Yi Liang stared blankly at the live broadcast and barrage, regretful to jump out of the window. He took out a pen from the drawer and pondered what was written on the paper. "What are you doing?" Lu Yang leaned back in his seat and asked. "What else can I do?" "Write a resignation letter because of my mistake. If I don't get scolded by the director's team, I'll have to be scolded by the majority of netizens. I better not waste my time. I dug my own pit, but even if I bite my teeth, I have to fill it." Yi Liang glanced at Jiang Bai's face on the screen, feeling even more suppressed. No one knows what kind of fog Jiang Bai is preparing for on his handsome and calm face. I don't know either. After everything is over, when this fog is completely cleared, a shocking gust of wind will sweep across the country. The sunshine is warm, as calm as ever. A family of 4, all getting up very early, sat at the dinner table, but the atmosphere seemed a bit dull. Jiang Bai swallowed congee and wiped his hands. "Be happy. Are you happy when you go out to play?" The 3 of them looked at him in unison, awkwardly tugging at the corners of their mouths. There were not many people on the bus, but the other 3 people looked solemn. Jiang Bai bought the tickets and handed them to the 3 people. He smiled and said, "I heard that the environment at the Taoist temple is very good and you can pray for blessings. What do you think?" Lu Tang nodded in coordination. The car started, and Lu Tang and Jiang Yun's faces were very dull, not knowing what Jiang Bai was up to. This is The Master of Crime, not some entertainment and relaxing program like The Life of Longing For. Why is a serious and tense program now like a leisure and entertainment program? What the hell is he going to do? Along the way, Jiang Bai was not idle either, casually chatting with the ticket seller. Jiang Bai is good-looking and has been smiling gently all along. He has fascinated the ticket seller in his 20s and even voluntarily provided his contact information. Seeing this scene, Lu Tang took a deep breath. This man came to this program to flirt with a little girl, not to be a performer. After a full 3-hour journey, Jiang Bai and the ticket seller chatted for 3 hours. And the audience also listened uninteresting for 3 hours. Damn it, it's been 3 hours and we haven't finished chatting yet. I'm really impressed. It's just this family routine or something. What's there to say? Can you do something about it? I really took it. So boring. I suddenly have a sense of being watching entertainment programs, it's not like a show of wits and bravery. People don't want to believe that Master of Crime, a popular program and the top-ranked program, has fallen to such a level. It's simply disappointing. How much they were looking forward to back then, and now how disappointed they are. The car finally arrived at the Taoist temple. Jiang Bai got off the car and looked at the towering mountain. Thinking of the scene where he went up and down the mountain yesterday, he couldn't help but feel a bit helpless. Even though he had been tinkering up and down the mountain all day yesterday, his back was sore and tired. But now, Jiang Bai remained calm and turned to look at his family. Let's go up the mountain. After 1 hour, a family of 4 climbed to the top of the mountain, and everyone was panting and exhausted, propping themselves on a stone and gasping for breath. The little Taoist stopped his movement and clasped his hands together, saying, "Master, are you coming to the Taoist temple and asking for anything?" Jiang Bai calmly wiped his sweat and said gently, "Master, I have been admiring the Taoist temple for a long time. Today, I want to visit and experience life with my family here. The little Taoist seemed accustomed to it and smiled, saying, okay, please come inside. The layman. Following behind Jiang Bai, Lu Tang's face was slightly rosy as she walked inside with Jiang Yun and her youngest daughter's support. Jiang Yun, who was still young, held Lu Tang's hand with a heavy expression and whispered, Mom, do we really want to stay here? Such a conspicuous yet unavoidable place. If they really stay here, when the police find them, they will have nowhere to escape and can only be captured without restraint. Lu Tang sighed and patted her hand, saying, let's talk first. In their hearts, they had already anticipated the ending, but due to the plot, they had to continue. If there were no cameras, they would have pulled on Jiang Bai's collar and fiercely questioned him why he was so childless. Surprisingly, he personally sent his daughter to prison. End of this chapter. Chapter 7. The First Step of Hypnosis. Even one's own people have to be deceived. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 7. The First Step of Hypnosis. Even one's own people have to be deceived. The atmosphere of Jiang Bai Public Security Bureau is particularly solemn. The three of them, known as the Light of the Police, looked at the pile of documents with a solemn expression. Qin Hao inexplicably felt his scalp tingling and said, what's going on? Why isn't there any clue this time? What exactly is this case? Wu Xin breathed a sigh of relief and said, I'm sure I didn't make any mistakes. The three of them are all outstanding in this field, let alone committing such a low-level mistake. The two of them were still immersed in shock when Guan Hongshan suddenly spoke up, do you think it's possible that the program team did a case for us that hasn't been reported yet? This sentence comes out. Qin Hao and Wu Xian immediately reacted and exchanged a glance before nodding along. It is indeed possible. Assuming the current case has not occurred, that is to say, someone will report it in the next 2 days. Guan Hongshan thought calmly and said, no, the actor is aware of our existence. Since it has already started, it indicates that the case has actually occurred, but we have not yet realized it. Rather than saying they didn't notice, it's better to say that they don't have any clues about this case at the moment. Interesting. Wu Xian suddenly became interested, with a hint of excitement in his eyes. That means he is procrastinating without us knowing yet. After all, if we haven't solved the case within 30 days, then we're considered a failure. Guan Hongshan and Qin Hao's eyes lit up, rarely igniting a sense of excitement. A few people sat on chairs and began to analyze in front of the national audience. Jiang Bai City is remote here and there are not many cameras. According to this idea, the actors cannot touch anything that cannot be broadcasted. So the scope will be narrowed down all of a sudden. Firstly, fraud. Secondly, kidnapping. So the third one is murder. The three of them glanced at each other, seemingly recognizing the essence of this case from their eyes. By relying solely on clues that are not considered clues, the three of them have pushed the case to such a level. It makes people feel scared from the bottom of their hearts. Guan Hongshan folded his hands and looked coldly, from now on, pay special attention to reporting new cases, and prioritize fraud, theft, and disappearance. The bullet comments were all shocked by the sharp analysis of the three of them. The investigators do not know the situation of the case, but as bystanders, they are clear about it. Wu Cao. Is this the analytical ability of the big shot? It's too powerful, isn't it? Mad, this is a bit shocking to me. I have to say, this is really too brave. Hiss, my scalp is tingling. Where can this clue be considered a clue? Can we analyze it to this extent just by relying on this? It's too strong. A brainless actor like Jiang Bai, in the hands of these people, is like a doll, at the mercy of others. Isn't this a case solved in minutes? I'm a bit excited, mad, ha ha ha. I want to see if the self-righteous Jiang Bai was shocked after being caught. The moment of face slapping at the speed of light. I'm looking forward to it. On the other side, Jiang Bai had no idea at all. Combining clues that were not considered clues, the investigator had already deduced a rough range. And the original 1-month time will be greatly shortened. Jiang Bai was sitting under the withered pine on the cliff at this moment, following the Taoist priest who was meditating with his eyes closed. Throughout the afternoon, the scene was so dull and uninteresting. And watching the live broadcast, the audience yawned incessantly. "I'm so tired, my mom. Just be a person. I'm really impressed. If I do something wrong, please let the law punish me instead of sitting here with Jiang Bai, okay? I'm going to die. The nth time I complained about the program group, damn it, is it someone invited to reduce the ratings on purpose? It's a big failure. Can you give me the contact information of the police station so that I can report the case directly?" At this moment, Jiang Bai, who had been meditating for an unknown amount of time, suddenly realized something. The endurance rating given to him by the system is much higher than that of an ordinary person, and it is believed that his ability to persist for 3 hours is also closely related to the rating. Until sunset, when the Taoist priest finished his meditation, he slowly stood up and was slightly surprised to see Jiang Bai still staying here. After a moment, he sincerely said, "The layman is destined to be with my Taoist family." Jiang Bai smiled and said, "What does Taoist mean?" The Taoist shook his head without speaking, and asked in reverse, "Do you have any confusion?" Jiang Bai pondered for a moment and said, "There are too many injustices in this world, and these injustices have brought about new injustices and injustices. Dare to ask Chang, how can we deal with ourselves in this situation?" The Taoist smiled lightly and gave the answer. "Just have a clear conscience." A clear conscience. Jiang Bai squinted his eyes and bent slightly. "Thank you for your guidance, Taoist." Looking at the direction in which the Taoist was leaving, Jiang Bai's eyes flashed brightly. The level of hypnosis ability is too low, and in order to succeed, some preparation is needed. And the most basic thing is to gain trust. Only in this way can one hide from the heavens and the sea. The bell rings, penetrating everyone's heart. At this moment, many drowsy spectators suddenly woke up and were touched by the conversation between Jiang Bai and the Taoist priest. Yeah. There are too many difficulties and injustices in life, and Jiang Bai's question deeply touches everyone's heart. If Jiang Bai went to another program, I think it would be quite enjoyable, right? Having a clear conscience, there are too few people who can do this. Who knows what he thinks, but judging from his appearance, perhaps he can really do it as if nothing had happened. When Jiang Bai came out of the room, he ran into Lu Tang, who was hesitating and uneasy. "Why don't we go back? I always feel uneasy. There's still something in the backyard." "What's there?" Jiang Bai's eyes were deep and he couldn't tell any emotions. "Relax your mind well, otherwise it's easier for people to see the flaws." Lu Tang paused, as if wanting to say something more. Jiang Bai turned to his side and glanced at the towering mountain peak not far away, saying, "Let's go. The scenery here is very good, it's good to take a stroll around." Jiang Yun couldn't help but say, "When will we go back then?" Jiang Bai smiled as if nothing had happened before. The family of 4 really came out for a trip and said with ease, "I just heard the Taoist say that we need to pray for blessings tomorrow. Why don't we stay here and pray for blessings before returning?" "But that's tomorrow," Jiang Yun shouted. Jiang Bai's eyes were heavy and he asked in reverse, "Tomorrow, what's going on?" As soon as these words were spoken, Jiang Yun and Lu Tang were both stunned. And the youngest sister looked up innocently and said, "Yes, it's not easy to come once. Don't come for nothing." Perhaps feeling guilty and uneasy, but in such a situation, there is no other choice but to believe in Jiang Bai. They were still restless in Ruirue, little did they know that a logical storm was already unfolding in Jiang Bai's brain. End of this chapter. Chapter 8. All those who have been ignored. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8. All those who have been ignored. Looking ahead along the cliff, the bottomless abyss of the cliff is heart-wrenching. But Jiang Bai seemed to have noticed nothing and walked straight forward, his brain running rapidly. Some corners in Taoist temples have cameras. Although there are many trees and blind spots, it is not entirely impossible to see their movement trajectory. The key thing that can be reversed is still the witness. As the saying goes, in order to make a case, there must be human and material evidence, and evidence is the most important thing. The physical evidence has basically been destroyed, and now the more important thing is the personal evidence. Jiang Bai targeted the Taoist priest, who was unaware of his identity or what he was doing. As long as he could gain the Taoist priest's trust, he could perform the most basic hypnosis. After just speaking with the Taoist, it is evident that he has gained more trust in him and has mastered the foundation of hypnosis. Therefore, he can now take action. After dinner in the evening, Lu Tang's legs were a bit sore. She didn't want to continue wandering around the mountain with Jiang Bai and said, "I want to rest early. Do you need me to accompany you?" Jiang Bai smiled lightly and shook his head, "No need, I'll go out and take a look myself. You guys rest well." The camera locked onto Jiang Bai, and the audience in the live broadcast room were curious about what Jiang Bai planned to do. However, what they didn't expect was Jiang Bai didn't do anything big, didn't lay any groundwork, and surprisingly, before being discovered by the investigators, he didn't have a good layout. Instead, he chatted with the Taoist priest who was meditating in the afternoon. There are various conversations from all over the world, but none of them are useful. The barrage exploded instantly. Missed grass. What is this? I thought I could do something big, but I didn't expect it to be just a chat. I really don't want to watch it anymore, it's too boring. I'm really disappointed with the cast selection of the program team this time. Even if the audience no longer wants to watch, the perspective has to be locked onto Jiang Bai. The audience found it boring, but Jiang Bai kept chatting with the Taoist until almost falling asleep at night. The two of them seemed to have met too late and chatted, and through this period of conversation, the Taoist trusted Jiang Bai even more. Jiang Bai was chatting happily, but the ratings of the program plummeted wildly, even surpassing the worst-case estimate. Director Lin in the background was heartbroken as he watched the declining ratings of the app. "Director Lin, what should we do? Otherwise, let's shift our perspective. The ratings here have dropped too quickly, and if we continue like this." Director Lin is also very frustrated. If you shift your perspective, the workload will suddenly increase, but no matter what, it is much better than a sharp drop in ratings. With this in mind, Director Lin made a decision. Okay. Move your perspective. At night. After discussing with the Taoist, Jiang Bai returned to the room prepared by the young Taoist. 1 man and 3 women, although they are acting, there is always a gender difference. Jiang Bai sat on the chair, listening to the sound of cicadas chirping outside, thinking in his heart about how to proceed next. "Husband." A faint voice came, and Jiang Bai looked over. Lu Tang pinched a corner of the blanket. He, who was pampered in Beijing, had never suffered such injustice before. She couldn't bear such an environment and couldn't help but ask, "How long do we have to stay here? When will you go back tomorrow?" Jiang Bai said calmly, "Don't worry, the last bus should arrive before 6 p.m. tomorrow night." The thought of staying here for so long made Lu Tang feel a bit uncomfortable, but she suppressed her emotions and said, "Why don't we go down earlier? Staying here will only increase Yun'er's pressure. Killing someone, how could it be less stressful? Always anxiously waiting for the police to come and arrest, how can we truly achieve that nothing has happened?" Jiang Bai pondered for a moment and said, "These pressures must be overcome." The room suddenly fell silent. Silent all night. The next morning, there was a rustling sound outside. Jiang Bai opened his eyes, quickly stood up, and silently pushed open the door. Coincidentally, Jiang Bai saw the Taoist priest meditating in the old place, and without even thinking, he followed him in meditation. An hour passed quickly, and when the Taoist opened his eyes, he saw Jiang Bai's figure and trusted him even more. "What insights did you have this time?" Jiang Bai opened his eyes and smiled, "I have a deep understanding. When I followed the Taoist back, breakfast was already prepared. Lu Tang, Jiang Yun, and their youngest daughter also started eating, while Jiang Bai had been chatting happily with the Taoist during the meal. It's completely impossible to see any signs of guilt in him, and his strong psychological resilience is heart-wrenching. The barrage didn't notice this, just felt that the time here was dull and boring. How boring. Mad, when will you go back? When exactly does the investigator have a clue? Hurry up and finish this episode, I can't bear it anymore. I wasted so much time just to see this. Damn it, this plot is the worst one I've ever watched. It's turned off. At 5 o'clock in the afternoon, a family of 4 set off from the mountain on time and caught the last bus back. Just like before, they were the same ticket seller when they arrived. When the ticket seller saw Jiang Bai, his cheeks turned red and he was pleasantly surprised, saying, "What a coincidence." Jiang Bai got into the car with a smile and chatted with the little girl all the way, winning a lot of favor. The barrage is unbearable. I'm really impressed. Why do I have to watch daily life here? Isn't this a brain-burning program? I don't want to see Jiang Bai's perspective anymore. Can you take a look at the investigator's perspective? I want to report it. I don't know how long. The bus has reached its destination. The feeling of returning here once again, with a sense of oppression, became even clearer about the previous incident of killing someone and hiding their body. Nerves tense, as if reminding them that their dreams are over and they are about to face a nightmare. Jiang Bai's expression remained calm as he turned his head and said, "Let's go home." Lu Tang, Jiang Yun, and their youngest daughter followed behind Jiang Bai without saying a word. Liu Tong's brain tightened into a string, but for some reason, this time she came back as if she had lost the previous feeling of being neither up nor down. But Jiang Yun looked around and only breathed a sigh of relief when he saw that there were no police cars nearby. At night, the temperature was low, dark clouds were dense, and there was not even a star in the sky. The solemn atmosphere lasted until the iron door was pushed open, when suddenly it erupted. "Dad!" Jiang Yun bit his lip, "What should we do now?" Jiang Bai turned around to look at her with a serious expression and advised, "From yesterday, November 20th, until now, everything that happened must be firmly remembered and never forgotten. Do you understand?" Jiang Bai turned his back and his figure was indistinct in the night, unable to tell what he was actually thinking. Knowing it was unreliable and impossible to assume that nothing had happened, but for some reason, Jiang Bai's words inexplicably calmed the hearts of the two. Jiang Yun nodded blankly and said, "Okay." Jiang Bai lowered his eyes and smiled lightly. It seems that the progress of hypnosis has been very successful. End of this chapter. Chapter 9. The Solver Approaches. An Impending Crisis. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 9. The Solver Approaches. An Impending Crisis. Jiang Bai's layout concealed everyone, not only his family, but even the audience who watched the live broadcast were counted. No one feels anything new about Jiang Bai's actions. Besides destroying the car, take your family to the Taoist temple to pray for blessings and relax. The rest, Jiang Bai did nothing. In the eyes of the investigators, such small means are like a drop in the bucket, and cannot even create a ripple. In the blink of an eye, a week had already passed. They seemed like nothing had really happened, continuing their mundane life. This unremarkable daily life has turned the originally tense and exciting variety show into a life of longing in an instant. The ratings have fallen below the lowest in history, but even if the program team shifts their perspective, they cannot save the plummeting ratings. Helpless, they can only call Lu Yang, who provided the script, to inquire. Lu Yang had no doubt about the script he provided. There is no problem with the script. After data analysis, as long as someone with meticulous thinking is found, there will be a lot of room for development. But so far, Jiang Bai has not done anything. It's not a problem with the script, but with Jiang Bai. The low ratings have made the director completely unable to sit still. They began to study changing perspectives, switching between different angles, to increase ratings, rather than just focusing too much on Jiang Bai. What people want to see is not such a mundane life, but a thrilling game. And now, Jiang Bai, who was being discussed, opened his eyes and looked at the darkness shrouded in the night, murmuring, "There should be some movement on the investigator's side, right? A week has already been the longest battle line." As Jiang Bai had anticipated, within the Jiangbei City Bureau, Guan Hongshan looked at the case files placed on the table and felt a headache. Is there a problem with the direction of the investigation? Qin Hao also stood up and said, "Perhaps we have been misled. It's impossible for us to have no clue for such a long time." A few people peeled off the cocoon, smoothed it out again, and found the answer. It's not that the direction of speculation was wrong, but rather that, Wu Xin's eyes were bright. The program team deliberately delayed the reporting time, hoping to increase the difficulty. He cut off the railway with his nails and said, "Without any accidents, we can see the case today." At this moment, the door of the conference room was suddenly pushed open, and the police officer came in holding the case file. "Boss, there is a newly reported missing case." A few people's eyes lit up and they said, "What's going on?" The police officer quickly introduced, "It's a man named Lu Chang who reported a case in Huaqing district. His son Lu Zhen went missing and hasn't been in contact for about a week." Guan Hongshan clapped his hands and said, "A week? That's about the same time we went to Jiangbei Public Security Bureau." "Yes." Wu Xin also reacted and exclaimed excitedly, "Finally here." The excitement in the eyes of several people were hard to conceal. The long-awaited case has finally begun at this moment. The phone suddenly rang and Guan Hongshan answered, "What's wrong?" Qin Ming's cold voice came from the phone. "I'll send you the location, and we found a car that's submerged here." Guan Hongshan replied, "Okay." The car that Jiang Bai worked hard to throw into the water was almost discovered in minutes. The barrage exploded instantly. I damn well know that throwing a car into the water is the most intellectually disabled behavior. The police want to find a car that has been thrown into the water. That's so simple. Isn't this a pure waste of time? I really thought if ordinary people couldn't find it, the police wouldn't be able to find it. Look at who. It seems that this case will be over soon. It's really ironic to say that the car that Jiang Bai worked hard to hide, but as soon as he received the report, the investigator found the location of the car. I don't know if it's because Jiang Bai was too stupid or because the investigator was too awesome. A group of highly intelligent people have fallen in love with a mediocre and weak college student with average intelligence. It's strange that he has a damn chance of winning. Come on. Let's finish it quickly. Next issue, next issue. This is too boring. By the river. The sky was gloomy, and the dark clouds made people feel suffocated, but it didn't affect a few people at all. After commanding the police to salvage the vehicle from the water, Qin Ming put on white gloves very professionally and checked the traces of the vehicle. Although Qin Ming is a forensic doctor, he doesn't just know how to do these things. If this is the first crime scene, with his exceptional vision, meticulous thinking, and logic, he may be able to directly obtain crucial clues and solve the case. Wu Xin took a cigarette and asked, "How are you doing? How many children are the witnesses? What else can we do?" They couldn't ask anything, they could only target the salvaged car. After a while, Qin Hao turned to his side and said, "This car has a camera, so it should be Lu Zhen's car." For safety reasons, several people also checked the license plate numbers, all of which were aligned. Without a doubt, this is evidence. Qin Ming frowned and swept around, saying, "It seems there aren't many clues left on this car. Everything that can be investigated has been washed away by the water." However, Qin Ming didn't have much reaction. When he discovered the car, he already knew that he couldn't find any important clues on it. After a moment of silence, Guan Hongshan frowned and said, "Is this case too simple?" Simple. How to say it? Wu Xin was puzzled. There's no body, no evidence. What's a simple way? After pondering for a moment, Guan Hongshan said in detail, "The missing person Lu Zhen has been missing for a week so far. Although it may seem like there is enough time left for the actor, based on the current situation, the case is indeed not difficult. If the car is discarded here, it must be related to the crime scene, otherwise it may not have taken so much effort to abandon the car. Originally, the camera would record everything, but now that the camera is submerged in water, it can no longer be used. Now as long as you lock in where this car has been, you can solve the case." This statement is not only an explanation for Wu's crime, but also for the audience watching the live broadcast. The audience, who were originally still confused, suddenly became enlightened after listening to these words. "I see. With this explanation, I immediately understood. It's so clever. How did this head grow? Let's split it in half. I'll just say that Jiang Bai's behavior of abandoning the car is useless, right? It's meaningless. It's really boring. Let's just sit and wait for being caught now. I even saw the scene after Jiang Bai was discovered. Just Jiang Bai's intelligence, how can he compare with these people?" Everyone was confidently guessing, but little did they know that in a few days, Jiang Bai would perform a grand performance that shocked everyone. End of this chapter. Chapter 10. Dangerous Persecution. The final standoff is coming. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 10. Dangerous Persecution. The final standoff is coming. In the living room, the atmosphere is completely different from that by the river. There was a cozy and leisurely atmosphere emanating from here, and Jiang Bai calmly leaned back on the chair, watching as Ruirui sat anxiously on the sofa with Jiang Yun. Idol asked, "What's wrong? So nervous?" Jiang Yun paused and shook his head, saying, "It's okay." Jiang Bai smiled at her and asked, "Do you remember when we went to the Taoist temple?" Jiang Yun was stunned for a moment, and instinctively wanted to take out his phone to check the time, but was interrupted by Jiang Bai, "Don't look, think about it." According to Jiang Bai's words, after careful consideration, Jiang Yun finally said, "Is it the 20th? Upon hearing this, Jiang Bai nodded and smiled, continuing to guide, "Do you remember what happened?" Jiang Yun sighed and suppressed his helplessness, repeating, "First, go to the Taoist temple, meditate, eat, and pray for blessings." Seeing this, Jiang Bai let go and emphasized again. Jiang Yun nodded seriously. Such a mundane life has once again caused the ratings of the program to plummet, and the more Director Lin watches this, the more annoyed he feels. Right now. The assistant director exclaimed in surprise, "The investigators have made progress. They have already locked onto Jiang Bai's home through clues. It seems that this case is about to end." The entire production team breathed a sigh of relief and also became excited. After working hard to follow the program for so long, everyone wanted to break through the show, but unexpectedly, Jiang Bai caused the ratings to not increase. Instead, all the previous gimmicks fell to the bottom in an instant. They are all nauseous, even more eagerly anticipating than the audience that this case will end soon. The torture is finally coming to an end. Director Lin excitedly commanded, "Quickly, lock in the perspective." For the intense deduction during the white-hot stage, the production team has specially made preparations. After receiving this news, I immediately recommended the pre-prepared entries. The investigator of Master of Crime has found a trace. When will the actor Jiang Bai be caught? The case is about to be solved. The truth has arrived. The duel between the investigators and the actors is about to begin. Stay tuned. Such texts and entries were pushed to the internet by the program team, and the information was spread on the internet, which once again made the program popular. Of course, the things released by the production team will not be known to the actors or investigators. Once released, the barrage of bullets that had been watching completely exploded. Missed grass. I've been waiting for so long, finally I'm going to have something exciting. This is too slow. It's been over a week now, but this time shouldn't last long, right? We'll definitely solve the case in minutes. Wait. I want to see what Jiang Bai plans to say when he faces the police. Has anyone analyzed the process? For example, how did Jiang Bai get caught? Don't say it. There are a lot of talented individuals online, and surprisingly, some people have analyzed and come up with some seemingly reasonable conclusions. A week's time may seem a bit unexpected for the investigator, but as we all know, relying solely on clues that are not considered clues can directly target Jiang Bai. This is simply amazing, okay? In addition, Jiang Bai also said that Lu Zhen basically doesn't go home, which means it's not that the program team intentionally delayed the reporting time, but based on the victim's situation, it's normal for his parents not to know he had an accident and not to report it. But now, evidence has been discovered and the car has also been found. It is obvious that once the trace of this car is found, Jiang Bai's whereabouts can be quickly found. As for solving the case, it will be too easy. Looking forward to solving the case, expected to close within 3 days. Just one more thing. Damn it, this casting was really terrible. Carrying the blame finally, it's the turn of the investigators to start closing the case. Especially, one can see the swift and decisive actions of Guan Dui and others in solving cases, as well as the clear logical process of unraveling the case one by one. That feeling is so exciting that it makes one's scalp tingle. At the same time, the members of the production team also breathed a sigh of relief, so they don't have to worry about ratings for now. The scene in the live broadcast room jumps to the Jiang Bai family again. It's like creating the final scene for Jiang Bai to stay on camera. What's the situation? The meeting has started again. Good guy, does this atmosphere feel a bit harsh? However, no matter what you say, it's useless. The investigators have already locked onto the Jiang Bai family, making it difficult to fly. Don't do any useless work. Get out of here now. No one in the audience is optimistic about Jiang Bai, and they even look forward to the investigator making Jiang Bai speechless. At this moment, a family of 4 sat on both sides of the coffee table, with a solemn atmosphere. Jiang Bai clenched his hands and said calmly, "That thing can't be hidden in the end. If it happened, it happened. The police will find us sooner or later." Speaking of this, Jiang Yun's fingers stiffened and he trembled as he said, "Am I still unable to escape?" Jiang Bai glanced at her and reminded her, "Do you remember what I told you before? Even if the police came and asked about this matter, they would say, on the 20th, we went to the Taoist temple." The room was silent, and the atmosphere became even more oppressive. Jiang Bai's voice rose for a moment and said, "Do you understand?" The solemn atmosphere suddenly dissipated, and Jiang Yun, Lu Tang, and the youngest sister nodded along. The audience in the broadcast room, who were still roast, was slightly surprised when they heard Jiang Bai's words. Ouch. It's too late to start serial port supply now, isn't it? The serial port has a lot of evidence to prove. In front of so many highly intelligent police officers, how could they even try to change the truth with their mouths? I think it's more like a dream. I'm laughing to death. What's the use of last-minute cramming? Hurry up and join the internet cafe, don't struggle anymore. I want to watch the next episode, this one is so bad and likable. Jiang Bai's invitation is really lowering the level of the program. Since he abandoned the car, I have felt that my intelligence has been crushed and rubbed on the ground, and I can't bear it anymore. But the atmosphere is a bit tense. I'm actually looking forward to the collision soon. Wait a minute, haven't you noticed that Jiang Bai still has some skills? I thought he might think the police didn't notice, but I didn't expect he could still be aware of this. Everyone's expectations have finally been raised. Previously, Jiang Bai always made everyone pretend that nothing had happened, and such actions were simply self-deception. But after a week, looking at Jiang Bai's words now, they brought a different feeling to the audience. Damn it, do they really underestimate a newly graduated college student? End of this chapter.